BDO USA and founding executive and the managing director at BDO RISE as well. Along with him, we also have Mr. Ashish Jhagarawat. He's the CEO at Moon Consultants. Mr. Shrenik Shah, he's left, sorry. And then we have the moderator, Mr. Ravin Bhojani. And Ravin is the head advisory and trans services at CBRE. I would like to welcome all of you with a huge round of applause. Sure. Thank you so much.
We are already running late, so I won't take much time. Yeah. So we not need to have an introduction formally. We all know each other pretty well. And the topic about futuristic workspaces in tier 2 cities. Ahmedabad is growing. Ahmedabad is considered as number 4 when it comes to the growth story over the last decade or so. Gujarat is considered as one of the most prominent state and most populous. So per capita income, we are considered as at number 4 as well when it comes to the kind of balanced life and ecosystem that is there. When we talk about futuristic workspaces, I would like to start from, let me ask Viren, what does it mean by having futuristic workplaces? What is your understanding and how do you foresee the futuristic workspaces to be like?
I think we might probably try.
I guess not, but for the benefit.
Okay. So ideally, futuristic workspace is, gives a solution, not a typically if you go to the office and we see a typical office environment. Futuristic workplace gives you a complete, solution wherein, you do not have to look for a typical environment and, work-life balance. When you go to an office, typically when we see that the office is, there is no other facilities being given and all. Now the rating system also has improved in terms of when the building is being constructed, they look for the IGBC and LEED certification, silver, gold, platinum, that way. So the moment when you opt for a building or a place which is silver, gold or platinum, that gives a complete solution. Not only that gives you the benefit of operating, but also good health also been considered when somebody is, go for the rating wise this any building or any workplace they choose for. So, when you operate from there, the efficiency also increases. The productivity also increases, and that's how basically that gives a flexibility than a typically when we see the office place when we are operating earlier before and which is now. That's how probably we should look for the flexibility and the higher rating which will give the increase the productivity.
So increased productivity, better efficiency, smart work, better amenities, services. Vishnu sir, my question to you. You have stayed abroad, you have had excellent exposure in US, you understood what kind of infrastructure that is there within US and the infrastructure that you find in tier 1 cities of
Yeah,
India.
it's quite comparable, right? I mean, when we look at, when you specifically look at post-pandemic, what has happened is, the needs of our employees have changed. Everybody wants the work-life balance. Everybody wants to work in a hybrid mode. The traditional workplace would not fit into, meeting those requirements. So when I look at it as a futuristic workplace, and when I compare it to the tier 1 or you compare it to US or any other Western countries, the focus is going to be on a technology-enabled workplace, which is going to enable you to have more collaborative environment between your people who are working remotely versus people who are working in office. So that is going to be the number one thing that in my mind when I'm building an office is that it's a very technology enabled office, because you don't want to. Everyone has to accept it that we are no longer going to be in office for 5 days a week. That's not going to be practical. Even if we're going to have some, you still need to collaborate with other locations with technology advancement. I think the second thing I would probably focus more on is the employee-specific needs, like employee-centric offices, right? And today's employees are, they demand a lot of things from their employers. Even, when we build the office, we are focusing on, break rooms, making sure that people have rooms for collaboration. We have something in our office called detox room, where people can just go and focus on some things and detox for a while. We have rooms, big cafeterias for people to kind of collaborate more. We have much more open space compared to just building a seat, So those two things are the most important thing. And the last thing that I would add is the cultural shift, because with the pandemic and, with the changing needs of our employee, the cultural shift is very important, and employees are changing, employers are changing, their needs are changing. When you compare from tier 1 to tier 2, there are different needs. So what works in Ahmedabad or Bangalore or Gurgaon may not work in Ahmedabad. When we build our offices, I can tell you, Ahmedabad people love to come to office. And part of the reason is, because everything is so reachable, everybody lives within 10-15 minutes drive. It's quite easy to come to office, and they love to come to office and collaborate in person. Versus when I look at Bangalore and Gurgaon, people don't want to come to office because they don't want to spend 1 hour or 2 hours in the traffic or commuting in their daily life. So, these three things, when I say technology, employee-centric, and cultural shift, I think those are the key important factors of futuristic workplace from my perspective.
When you said, and before I begin, I said work-life balance. Ahmedabad does provide that. Yeah, and we see that it's growing and growing over the period of time. Ahmedabad has grown exponentially, and we are looking at growth happening. Players like Ganesh Housing and all coming in, and Tishman Speyer now. What was your motivation and interest that you tied up with Ganesh Housing to come up with such an excellent project that's coming up within the proximity of the city? And so Tishman, everyone knows, right? They are one of the global leaders when it comes to delivering marquee projects across the US continent and all. And they have projects within Gurgaon, Chennai, and Hyderabad and Bangalore. What made you think for Ahmedabad as a project to be and put yourself in a place that, this is the growth story for the future?
So, couple of data around Gujarat and Ahmedabad we are all familiar about with regards to the way it is growing, the kind of GDP share the state has, and the kind of futuristic government supported as well as FDI oriented optimism the state overall follows. Having that in view, plus looking at the kind of supply or quality offices which the city has, we as a developer as well as a fund found this an extremely interesting market where initially it might be a bit of introductory teething issues to have a brand new mixed kind of development be promoted proactively, but eventually it is going to be a huge success. And the need of the hour for any city which is growing at this rate is a mixed development. So I think for our IC or as an organization, the way we foresee things, the way we perceive culturally, that it's about communities, it's about people meeting, interacting, and say innovating or co-creating together. And that's where this kind of project was quite interesting for us.
SEZ. Why SEZ?
Well,
I had that question for Anmol as well, but unfortunately, you both can take it up together and answer it,
So SEZ is not new in Gujarat or for that matter across India. And in Gujarat only we have 20 SEZ, and which are the notified and active. There are 10 SEZ which are denotified. What important is, why one should look at setting a business in SEZ, and obviously now we have a new IT policy where we have heard from Principal Secretary under, the new policy is 20, 22 and 27, wherein plethora of benefits is been given. So SEZ we have, across India, which wherein the sunset clause in March 2020. So the new business which is coming in might have a very limited benefits. However, but the new policy under Gujarat IT policy, wherein anybody who is coming out from outside or within also they are setting up the business. So obviously they have a opportunity to set up business in SEZ. SEZ has a certain benefits wherein not a direct taxation but indirect taxation benefit. So definitely anybody who would like to set up, or probably they have a net export. If more than 51% of their business is an export oriented, that falls under SEZ, and they get all the indirect tax benefit. So that's the reason probably, and there are many people who are today even in ITITS player in Gujarat, they are operating their businesses from non-SEZ area, but they still fall under the criteria of SEZ. Those people should definitely come and operate and, avail the incentives being offered by government of Gujarat, and the SEZ, which is a national benefit, is been given. So obviously SEZ is the territory wherein, you are out of, the normal regulatory and all. So one should definitely, if they have net export business, they should definitely look for an SEZ as an option to set up the business.
Great. Coming to you, Ashish. You are one of the largest SEZ consultants in the country, and you have had a lot of inroads within Gujarat with a lot of, like Viren said, SEZs that are functional. Most of them are industrial. Hardly anything that has come in except for Million Minds that's coming up and GIFT SEZ. How has your exposure within Gujarat been? How do you foresee the SEZ shaping up? And what is the future of smart workplaces within SEZ?
Okay. So first of all, I would like to indicate a point wherein most of the people are having this myth that ITITS SEZ allows only ITITS companies. That's not the case. ITES is a very broader terminology. When we come to an ITES, it includes a whole lot of services which one can't even think about, which includes engineering and design, automobile R&D, which also includes your global capability centers, not only in terms of the support services, which are like shared support services, but it also includes your AutoCAD designing companies. We have seen across India in SEZ wherein like an avionics company doing their R&D, designing, testing, validation, integration, including the hardware assembly and manufacturing into an IT SEZ. So it is not only limited to the services or software development as such, but it is beyond that. Ahmedabad being the market from an ITITS perspective, of course, now companies are coming into either in GIFT as well as in Ahmedabad. There are few SEZs wherein design centers are already established in SEZ in Ahmedabad. But if I look at the geography, if I look at the demographic dividend for Ahmedabad, it's on par with Pune and Chennai to a greater extent. When I say Pune and Chennai, because both these Pune and Chennai locations are also an automobile hub. And if you look at those centers, their talent availability, which is required for the support activities to the automobile segment, is available in abundance. Same is the case with Ahmedabad as a location, because there are various institutes in and around. There are various automobile companies who have already set up their presence in Gujarat. So Ahmedabad can really become a design center, a capability center, a testing and validation center, which includes the physical testing and on-road testing also, which can be done through an SEZ located in any ITITS SEZ. And then on to top of that, since Dholera, you have There's semiconductor companies coming into. Again, the capability center for that can be into an SEZ. So there are, across India, there are design centers for semiconductor chips design also, working out of SEZ, wherein a whole lot of prototypes comes into, and then they integrate software into it, test, validate, and then they send it abroad. So the benefit by doing that would be tremendous. If you are not operating into an SEZ, let's say a company who is having an yearly revenue of 1,000 crores, and this raw materials or the inputs or the devices, what they procure is, let's say, to the tune of 200 crores. Roughly, they would be saving 30% on an average in terms of custom duty. And that is a saving which a company can do by sitting into an SEZ, which they are not eligible to get from an outside SEZ space. Apart from the Gujarat government incentives, unlike other states, let me tell you my experience of working with various states. Gujarat does not mandate you to have a local employment to a percentage level. It's like in other states, you need to have minimum of 80% or 75% local domicile employees. When I say domicile means a person who has been into a state since, or who has spent 15 years in that respective state, not consecutive, but during his life tenure. Those requirements are not there in Gujarat IT policy. So that offers an advantage for a player working into an IT SEZ or an IT park, wherein they can hire a cosmopolitan kind of crowd from across the geographies, make them work from Gujarat, and still the incentives are available. So these are the incentives which are coupled with the central government policy of SEZ, wherein the custom duty and GSTs are completely exempted, no need to go for refund. If you go for refund, there's a time and there's a cost. Whereas if you are availing an upfront exemption, it's always better. So my take is, of course, the availability of talent, even though it is not for software development, but this allied sectors is there in Ahmedabad, and those needs to be promoted more.
Fair. Understanding that there is talent, there is visibility, there is, Gujarat is ease of doing business, and a lot of ancillary services along with automobile and all that are coming in. How do you foresee the future smart workplaces could adapt to as a benefit to this kind of, support system that is already having inroads in the state as well as SEZ?
Right. Two factors. When we interact with various clients, many of the people coming to an SEZ only for one major advantage is SEZ gives them a campus kind of environment. Whereas if you go to a normal commercial building or a normal IT building, it will be a standalone building and does not give you that kind of environment when it comes to a complete ecosystem. So let's say a global client coming into for a visit to any of the unit for ODC center or any other setup, they would like to understand what is the life available or a work-life balance available to an employee, so that in case of IT or the hectic job wherein an employee is stuck to an work desk for 8 hours, 10 hours flat, they need some relaxing environment, which includes the collaborative spaces, as team said. So if it is a campus kind of environment wherein the SEZ requires a minimum certain built-up area to be qualified into an SEZ, of course there would be natural development of other peripheral amenities as well. And that gives a sense of, for an employee, it is like they would like to work in such environment first. Furthermore, when the availability of built-up space is more, the more and more companies would come into. So their prospect of hiring from an employee side, and from employer side, the cross-hiring from other companies is increased. So if you look at geographically across India, there are pockets being developed, be it BFSI segment, be it BPO, KPO segment. Why a particular kind of companies goes into that is because their hiring prospect, and for employee it is getting hired prospects are increased. And that is where the such kind of workspaces which Ganesh is building would add up to the demand side as well as the good availability of talent moving into.
So, well said, Ashish. It's all about being employee-centric and giving work-life balance as one of the key major factors which comes into bringing in that kind of a revolution within Gujarat and Ahmedabad. How do you foresee, Vishnu sir, the next decade to be for Tier 2 cities when it comes to smart workplaces, and what do you foresee for Gujarat and Ahmedabad as well?
Yeah, so I think the future is bright. specifically for the tier 2 cities. The demand that India is getting, whether it in terms of global capabilities. One research report that I read, which was very interesting, was that it was a very well-known research company that said India will be the only country in 2030 that will have the excess labor force. Every other country and every other part of the world will be shortage of resources, skilled resources. So when you think about that, and when you think about all this work coming and moving to India, the tier 2 cities have the biggest opportunity, because the tier 1 cities are already saturated. There are already a lot of competitions. We are seeing that are putting a lot of pressure on the compensation, competitiveness, so a lot of, firms are moving into the tier 2 cities. And we have seen, that was one of the reasons why we came to Ahmedabad, right? Because we were seeing a huge competition in Bangalore and Gurgaon. So when you think about that, and with the futuristic, development happening, and it will become a necessity, to be very frank with you, with all these companies coming into the tier 2 cities, there will be a big need for the futuristic offices and for the employee to be an employee-centric office. So I see a great future for the tier 2 cities. I am very optimistic about Ahmedabad specifically, because there's a lot of talent here, amazing talent pool, good education system, good infrastructure. So huge opportunity.
Brilliant. Shreekant, what's that Tishman is coming up with, and how do you foresee that project of yours shaping up? I keep a regular tap on it, but for our audience here, what is that Tishman is coming along, and what kind of a quality is expected, and how Million Minds is shaping up, and what difference that it will bring? I do understand it's the smart place to be in. It has all the things that one would require, but want to hear it out from you for the audience as well.
Just to add, piggyback on Vishnu's remark about how tier 2 will be critical. So if you see, a majority of countries' GDP comes from cities. And if India realistically has to be a developed economy, hopefully by 2047, we just cannot afford to avoid tier 2. Having said that, I think central as well as state governments are also quite aligned. That's where we read about, $1 trillion of investments being projected that it will be for tier 2, or different subsidies or infrastructure level of growth being done in tier 2. Now, as far as Million Minds by GSCL, supported by Tishman, is concerned, so if we kind of think about replicating certain international trends, which are actually a success, which we should be replicating, is one of those is, say, a literal walk-to-work or walkable community culture, where people are able to access offices from their homes in a walking distance, be able to access, say, even a 5-star to up to a good retail, all those things being built in walkable distance. So mixed stage, mixed use development is kind of good substantiation from our side for the city's infrastructure. And sustainable development. So each time we continue to talk about development, of course, it has to be responsible. So our LEED certification, the fact that there are a lot of other plans for our campus, wherein renewable energy being tapped in accordingly, water being conserved accordingly. So all these things do become kind of inherent success story for any real estate project, especially at our juncture, the juncture at which Ahmedabad is, for the kind of infrastructure we have right now.
Great. So Million Minds it is, I would say. Vishnu sir, one last question to you. What investments or what kind of, envision that you do for tier 2 cities when you actually, other than talent pool and work-life balance and I would say collaborative places, what is the other thing that you envision when it comes to tier 2 cities that would set apart? Is it the cost? Is it the quality? And what do you foresee that it could be for Ahmedabad per se?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of both, right? Tier 2 city gives the advantage, on the cost side, no doubt about that. You can create a huge training centers. That one of the things that we are targeting, to bring. We have 5 offices across the country, and we are looking at Ahmedabad to build a training center where we can bring, people from everywhere from the country and get them trained in Ahmedabad. Because of the infrastructure, there are good airports, good roads, that will really help us with that. I think the other investments, when we look about building the offices, one of the important things that we are doing is we are spending a lot of money in building a futuristic. It's an investment, and the reason why we want to do that is because today's employee, when they are coming in a hybrid mode, when they're only coming for 2 days or 3 days, they're coming with a specific purpose to the office. See, work can be done from anywhere. Pandemic has proved that. People during the pandemic also, the work was done, but what was missing was the collaboration amongst the employees, amongst the clients, with the stakeholders. And to build that, you need to attract people to come to office. Sure. And that is why, building all this breakout areas, gaming zone within the office, you have to literally attract the talent to pull them to the office. Because otherwise, they don't want to come to office. Why would they come to office? Work can be done from home, right? So we are making a lot of those investments in building the offices. Our office has a lot of open space, a lot of events that we do to attract talent to the office, to make it, more attractive for the people to come. And as Shreekant said, right, that you need to provide everything in one place, because nobody wants to spend time in commuting today, in today's generation, right? They all want to have malls, theaters, across, homes, residences, offices, all in very close proximity, so that they can enjoy their life and not spend half of their life in commuting. So, and that's the investment, because, to build such a mixed development, it takes a lot of investment, and it will, I think, those are some of the investments that I think futuristic place will have in future, and people would kind of move towards those concepts rather than going into a single building development where it's just more about coming and going to office.
So it's like a campus feel that we see in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Delhi, Gurgaon, which is coming in. Tier 2 cities, which are the most prominent tier 2 cities other than Ahmedabad that you foresee to be the future growth story, or the work-life balance, or, full ecosystem? Yeah,
I think we looked at it when we did our research going into the tier 2 cities. Kochi comes as one of the another place of development. Jaipur, Indore, Bhubaneswar. These are some of the cities which we think has a lot of potential, specifically because of their education system. You get what used to happen before pandemic was people from these cities used to move out to the bigger cities for work. After pandemic, everybody has started realizing a little bit more about the value of life and value of being close to the families, and also they don't want to move. So in our industry where we come from, we are a consulting firm, an accounting firm. Where we used to come from is, before pandemic, people used to have one hub office. So, one big office with 2,000, 5,000 people in one location. Everybody will move into that location and stay there. Post-pandemic, the entire concept has reversed. People would think in Western countries, the real estate demand was down in Western countries. In India, the demand for real estate companies was high, even during pandemic. I'm telling you, I wasn't able to find an office in Bangalore, in the specific IT park where I wanted to go, even during pandemic, because I would have thought that people would give up the space during pandemic because nobody was coming to office. But that was not the case, because people were opening smaller offices. They were giving up bigger spaces and opening smaller offices. I can tell you that if we were not in the post-pandemic period, I don't think we would have had 5 offices in the period of 4 years that we have been in existence. So there's a huge opportunity in India with the tier 2 cities, whether be it Ahmedabad, Jaipur, Indore, or Kochi.
Fair. Looking at in the time that's not on our side, I'm not going to drag it more. Any last few inputs from each of the speakers here that would like to, and then we could conclude the session because everyone has other commitments as well. So, Shreekant.
Just wanted to add, Denver economy CI is growing by 1% CAGR. Ours is growing by around 21%.
21% to be precise.
So that's the kind of futuristic, optimistic growth we have ahead of us.
So what's next for Tishman?
Chennai is the nearest, and then after that Mumbai.
Cool.
And of course, second building with the Million Mines GSCR. And let's see from there.
Excellent. Ashish?
So one key point I would like to highlight is, in fact, Viren started with the myth that now since income tax exemption for SEZ is not available, but if someone wants to compare when they are an export-oriented unit, or even if they are not an export-oriented unit, even if they are providing services or goods to an Indian market, they can still set up into an SEZ. There are supporting regulations for the same. So a particular business can be evaluated and can be then compared with other policies of central government, and state government, of course, is the same. And then an informed decision can be made, because in the industry it is being said that SEZ comes with a lot of compliances, but that's not the case. The compliances are same across different policies of the government of India, but it comes with an added advantage in SEZ. So particular business, be it manufacturing, be it R&D, be it design, be it support services, or KPO, BPO, even if it is a mixed kind of client base, 30% from India, 40% from India, 70% export, then also it can be sitting into a particular SEZ location and with the supporting regulations around it. Yeah.
I'm so sure that's going to kind of intrigue you a lot, considering it.
Absolutely. Yes, I'll tell you, I was the one who had that myth as well until I met him. So I'm going to definitely look into that for sure. But no, it's been great to be here and share the perspective. I believe, I'm based in Bangalore, but every single time I come to Ahmedabad, it has been a fantastic insight, and the enthusiasm and the excitement that I see in people here has been amazing, and had made us grow the Ahmedabad office threefold. We have grown the Ahmedabad office, to 300, 350 people in last 3 years. So, and we continue to plan to grow Ahmedabad. So,
and more in planning.
Absolutely.
Yes. Viren, last words from you.
So basically, real estate, commercial real estate, it's similarly in line of our residential. Once you think of buying your residence, typically today nobody looks at a house as a typical house that, okay, I go in the lift and, stay in the apartment. Today, everybody, because, that is absolutely the way we live and the way we work as well. So today somebody is buying a house, they would always look at that I should have obviously a gated community, so for the safety, securities, for, the entire plethora of amenities, who is our neighbors are. Same goes with our commercial real estate also. And that exactly, today the smart builders and, a large scale development like us, what we are bringing in, it's not typically office. So, that's what, we've been discussing here is that people would love to come to office for the reason. Now, when we are having this building, we are talking about almost a 1 lakh square feet of an amenities. People go to office and they would find, if you like to look at for the breakout area, nobody would like to sit for 8 hours continuously and work, that way. So, we'll have a small breaks, you go down or you go to a breakout area, you play something and, there is a restaurant, cafe, salon, everything. So, you find everything in that campus that brings brings the system when people would feel like, yesterday I can give you a real example. Ashish and myself, we met one client. He's one of the listed company here, and the market cap is more than 10,000 crore. And the real example, he worked as an MIT graduate, okay, and he was working with Amazon. He said, Viren, the only way wherein, we get the unique idea wherein you sit in the bar or probably in the coffee shop and you think something, and that's from there the idea comes out. So we need to have, not typically office when typically today if you go to any public office or a government office, you see that there's only an office. But the mindset have changed, and that's what actually we as a Ganesh is bringing in to the society. It's not typically workplace. It's a complete ecosystem. That's where you see not only work, but then, people would like to work, come, enjoy, and then, that's what, would always bring the new ideas, the work-life balance we talk about, the health, everything we talk about. So I think that is where the changes is being needed, and that's what, the new generation is also looking for. I think with this, the commercial shape-up is completely different the way we were looking before and now.
I definitely agree. In fact, you guys are changing the skyline as well as the mindset or the kind of typical delivery of projects that has happened in the past within Ahmedabad. And I foresee you guys, setting up that kind of a milestone for others to, replicate and follow. I would like to thank all of you. I won't take much of your time. I'll just open it up for anyone in the audience, a question. Maybe if they want to ask, or then we can just close it in. Okay. So, I can't say no to you.
So one thing which, what Mr. Ashish suggested, there are Government of India and state government policies. So are these complementary, like you have either one of them, or it is you can have both of them? Is that?
You can have both of them. On to top of that, there are certain industry-specific policies as well. Let's say if somebody wants to set up a data center in Gujarat, then separate data center policy is there for Gujarat. If it is new edge technologies like AI, ML and all, then there's a separate incentives available under Government of Gujarat policy. But from a central act perspective, the benefits are same across India, which is the indirect tax exemption predominantly. And it's an upfront exemption. So except tea, coffee, refreshment, gifting item to the employees, life insurance and mediclaim, everything else is exempted.
Anmol, do you want? So one of the gentlemen, he's here, Anmol. He is the director for Ganesh Housing.
So I think all the industry experts have already explained the whole project and SEZ, domestic zones. I'm sure all your confusions are away now. I just wanted to add that what we are building is something aspirational. We want to make the coolest spaces. We want employees to come back to work. Remote work is working, but at the same time, being at office is different. Like it's like you have different energy in that. So that's what we're trying to build. So it's not only offices, but anything you need is within a minute. Like if you want retail, it's going to be there. If you want dedicated amenities, you will not find more amenities than this campus anywhere else. Every building is going to have special amenities, and we're also going to make a dedicated club for the whole campus. Along with that, we're going to make residences, co-living spaces, so people who want to buy can buy, people who want to rent can rent. All options are going to be available. It's going to be super flexible, from MNCs to startups. We're open for all.
Great, Anmol. I'm sold. The guy sitting next to you is sold. And the guy who actually moved out is also sold. And there are many others who are...
Actually, we are not here to sell, but I tell you, we only encourage people that you just come, see the place, and then it gets sold automatically. We know the building itself, the way it is made.
In case if you guys do want to contact me or my team here, we'll take you along, because it's one of the best projects that I can see in Gujarat for the next decade at least.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to thank each and every panelist here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for giving this opportunity to, speak aloud about things. And looking forward to working with you guys soon. Yeah? Thank you, guys.